Hey folks, Jessica here. So, today we are talking the damage formula. Warning up front, this is going to be a map-centric video. Now, hear me out before you click off the video. I see all you reaching and click off the video. I understand. Uh, I'm going to try and give you actionable information up front. Things that are actually useful if you're putting together a grid that will further help your understanding of the game in general. After that point, I'm going to get into the details of the damage formula and talk about the nuances and all the little things, every little part of it. And honestly, that part of the video, feel free to click off, because a lot of that information is more academic than useful. Like, there are a lot of... It's nice to know how the game actually works, but practically speaking, you're not going to really care about much of this stuff. So, to start, let's talk about what prompted this video. So if you watch my stamina video, you recognize this chart. This is showing stamina bonus at various skill level thresholds and various health thresholds. So we were talking about Eden in that case, widely considered one of the best weapons in the game, massive attack, and then medium stamina up to skill level 15. So Eden would be this right here, 9.56. Now, I got a few comments in that video that point out, and rightly so, that 9.56, while that sounds great, is actually a smaller mod than a weapon that only modifies attack statically, that's SL15 medium. Let's prove that out real fast. So this is the chart for just regular attack up. So any old weapon that says attack up. Medium, this is normal, if you care, as opposed to Omega. Medium, SL15, is 14.5%. That's much better than 9.56. So what gives? Why is stamina considered such an important mod if it's actually lower than just straight up attack? Well, the reason is they don't stack additively. They multiply. Attack up is multiplied by stamina, enmity, all those mods, and a whole ton of other things. That's where we'll get into the damage formula. So the practical knowledge here is to know that these things multiply, therefore stamina and enmity are very important to have in your grid, because if you've been through grade school math, you know that when things multiply, they usually result in a bigger sum than if things just simply add. So let's get further into the damage formula. Okay, we're not quite at the end of practical knowledge for the damage formula, so don't let your eyes glaze over too much. But I think an important question is, why should you care about all this math and all this under the hood stuff for damage? Well, I'm going to paraphrase the wiki here. The system for damage is very complex in Granblue. They have improved steadily the estimated damage part of it over time. So, hang on. This bit down here, where it shows you your estimated damage, that's improved over time. It's a lot more accurate now. It shows... it takes into account the turn number, the number of foes, your HP thresholds, and your support summons. By the way, modify all this stuff if you want like a really quick gauge on how effective a particular piece of your grid is, because this stuff is actually way more accurate than it used to be, and it's pretty reliable. However, it doesn't factor in everything. It doesn't factor in buffs, debuffs, multi-attack, extra damage types, so critical, supplemental, bonus. So if you don't have knowledge of like the basics of the damage system, what can happen is you'll put a weapon in your grid and you'll be like, did that make my damage go up or down? Oh shit, it made it go down. Why? Okay, I'm going to put a different weapon in my grid. I put a different weapon in my grid. Did my damage go up or down? It went down again! What the F? You can avoid that if you have some basic understanding of the damage formula. And then, in addition to that, the more practical part is it lets you target weapons for farming or for using Dama that are actually more likely to be beneficial for you, because you really don't want to shove Damascus especially into a weapon that ends up being a downgrade for you, and that can happen if you don't understand the basic core concepts of putting together a grid. So let's talk formula. Okay, base damage. It is attack times total boost. Roll credits, video is over, that's all you need to know. Obviously not. Attack's pretty easy to figure out. Attack is the sum total of all of the attack stats on your weapons and your summons combined together. You can get a pretty quick summary of it by looking in the top right of your grid. 35,552. That's how much attack I have right now on this dark grid. Now, I don't hit for 35,000 damage in my dark grid. That would be a pretty garbo grid. That would be like a day one grid. I actually hit for something more like 802,906 in my dark grid. And that's a pretty massive discrepancy. That's because this number is multiplied by a whole bevy of multipliers in order to get this final result. So let's talk about that bevy of multipliers. Gonna mention ahead of time, there's two versions of this page. This is the summarized. This is like the easier to digest damage formula. They also have a page that's the detailed damage formula. We'll talk about both, but the damage formula is extraordinarily complex. So this first page they have here is kind of the simplified version, the more easily digestible version for people who don't really want to deep dive into this thing. So total boost, it is elemental boost times omega attack boost times EX attack boost times normal attack boost times other boosts. So when we're talking about building a grid, we usually talk about getting multiple different multipliers. When you look at just like the base level, you would think that if you're playing Primal, you're running a Primal summon, it gives like 140% bonus to normal attack skills at base, at full uncap. So you would think, oh, I only want to run normal attack skills then, because they would all get modified by the Primal summon. That's not actually the case, because if you look at this, you would only be getting one multiplier. You actually want a mix of all these if you can, because that will usually result in a bigger total bonus at the end. Now, I say usually because it all depends on how much each of these individual categories are. It's a case-by-case basis. Like, slapping a Magna weapon in your grid, an Omega weapon in your grid, isn't always necessarily going to be the best result. It just depends on the relative value of each of the weapons in your grid. It's got a case-by-case thing. That's why building a grid can be complicated. But in general, a rule of thumb is the more modifiers you can get, the better final result you're going to get. The last practical bit of information I'm going to cover here is in the detailed formula. After that, we're going to get into like the real nitty gritty that you don't really need to know. But yes, Omega EX normal. These are a composite value, normal, Omega EX. And let's look at that. We'll ignore this whole big top section looming over us. But normal Omega EX boosts. These are normal attack boost, normal enemy boost, normal stamina boost, Omega attack boost, Omega enemy boost, Omega stamina boost, EX attack boost, EX enemy boost, all that multiplied together minus fixed attack multiplier, so attack down. So what this effectively means is when you're building a grid, this is all the way back to that stamina video, stamina, enmity, attack, they're multipliers. They all multiply together. So you want, like, if you can get like stamina and attack together, great, because they multiply. That's why stamina is important. It's not additive, it's multiplicative. Bring it all back around to the beginning. So that's why stamina and enmity are important. Now, you might think, oh, then you would definitely want stamina and enmity in a grid because they multiply. It's more complicated than that, because remember, as stamina turns on, enmity turns off. As enmity turns on, stamina turns off. And that gets back into what I was saying earlier. It's not a hard and fast rule that more multipliers is better. It's more multipliers are better depending on what the individual numbers are. So that's why mixing those two isn't necessarily always going to be a good idea for you. And I would say rarely a good idea for you. All right. Moving on from the more practical information, now's the time if you don't want to get into like the super woods with these numbers. This is the point where I'm not going to be mad at you if you click off. Okay, here we go. We're going to get in the nitty gritty. So, base damage in total is character total attack times elemental boost times normal Omega EX boost times character enmity times character stamina times perpetuity boost times total character unique attack boost times unique stackable boost, then crew ship boost times crew skill boost times attack down debuff effect. All that together is your damage. Let's break it down. Character total attack is basically that it's basically that stat I originally showed you, your total attack, so weapons plus summon attacks, plus your character's attacks. So as you can see, each character has an attack stat. Note, different characters have different amounts of attack. That's why characters tend to attack for different amounts of damage. They're not usually wildly different, but some characters do have significantly more attack than other characters. In addition to that, if you are if a weapon matches the character's specialty, so if you're looking at sixth is a melee character. So anything that is melee, so like the Sky Piercer, the Celeste Claw, anything that's a punchy weapon, 6 will get 120% of its base attack instead of 100%. So note that if you're running like a grid that's like 10 fist weapons and you're running all fist characters, there's a lot of synergy there. Your base attack's just going to be that much higher because you have such alignment. That doesn't necessarily mean that weapon specialty is a huge factor in how you put together your grid and the class you run and your characters. It is a small bonus, but it's not so big to outweigh everything else. Okay, elemental boost is pretty easy to understand. I'm actually not going to read out this formula part of it because let's just talk about the details. That makes more sense. Elemental superiority. So if you are on element, so what that means is if your element is superior to the enemy element. So fire is superior to wind, water is superior to fire, earth is superior to water. If you're on element, you get a 50% boost based on that. If you are element inferior, so if you're water fighting against earth, then you're minus 25%. And then in every other case where you're neutral, you're 0%, no modifier, if you're essentially off element. So these are all modified by your summon modifier. So if you're running like Europa is 140% boost to water elemental attack. That's what that means. In addition, this is a thing some people might not know, this is also factoring in EMPs. So elemental attack up EMPs on the character, and then attack up and debuff, like specifically elemental attack up and down debuffs. So that's why elemental attack up and down play nicely with regular attack up and down because they're separate multipliers. And that's additionally why an elemental attack up EMP is more useful than, say, just a regular attack up EMP because it's a separate multiplier. That's how you understand elemental boost. Okay, normal attack boost. This is a little bit more complicated. It is normal attack mod, so the sum total of all the normal attack skills in your grid times your Optimus aura. So Optimus aura is a fancy way of saying the primal summon aura, Agni, Varuna, Titan, Zephyrus, Zeus, Hades, all those, and their demi counterparts if that's what you're running. That's your Optimus aura. And then you add in the Bahamut mod. If you don't remember, the Bahamut weapons are, well, they're from Bahamut, shocker, I know. These things, they give you a boost based on the race of your characters. So this is why you often get the advice, don't run a Bahamut weapon in a primal grid, run it in a magna grid. If you've ever wondered why people say that, it's because of the way the modifiers work. So a Bahamut weapon is a normal modifier. If you're running a primal grid, you have a ton of normal modifier weapons. So it's not super helpful to run a Bahamut weapon. If you're running a magna grid, the Bahamut weapon makes more sense because you don't have that much normal modifier. So the additional modifier there helps the multipliers work out a little bit better for Magna. So that's why you don't run Bahamut weapons in a primal grid. Now you know. Ultima mod, so from Ultima Weapons. Normal summon aura. This is a weirdly specific one. This is not the same thing as an Optimus aura. Only one I can think of that does this, there's probably a couple more, is Grand Order, the Zoe summon. And this one, this thing specifically boosts normal attack. This is not the same thing as the Optimus aura. Not gonna get too far into it, just know that they're different and really honestly not very applicable for anybody in a practical sense. And then normal buffs, attack up, attack down, all those things. So normal buffs minus debuffs. So attack up and attack down, they're linear. So like attack up 50%, attack down 30% equals attack up 20%. That's pretty easy to understand. That's normal attack boost. Okay, Omega attack boost. This is a lot simpler. It's just Omega attack skill times Omega aura. There's a lot less things that add into Omega attack than Omega attack boost. Bahamut mod and Ultimate mod, obviously, as we just talked about, are both normal attack, not Omega. I don't think there's an Omega Summon aura like Grand Order, as far as I know. And then buffs and debuffs, that's all going to be character specific. Certain characters have buffs that affect the Omega mod. Certain characters have buffs that affect the normal mod. That's a case-by-case thing. We're not going to get into them because we'd be here forever. Moving on. Okay, EX attack boost. This one's a little bit of a weirdly specific one. It is usual EX attack mod plus mysterious EX attack mod times the Renko summon aura. Okay, what does that mean? Usual EX attack is pretty much all the EX weapons you could think of in the game, normally speaking. It is anything that increases attack on the EX mod that doesn't have a specific requirement on character HP level. So like Xeno weapons are EX mods. So like True Phantom Demon Blade, this thing is massive attack to Dark Allies attack. EX mod. The bigger question is, what the hell is mysterious EX mod? That is specifically stuff from the Idolmaster event that have mysterious in them. I don't know why they chose to split this up. I mean, this is madness. This is complexity for no good reason at all. All those things are the only aura that modifies mysterious is the Renko summon, again from the Idolmaster event. Like I don't know, maybe they were just high that day or something, but they decided to do this random, this very random mechanic that plays in the damage formula in a unique way. But that's what mysterious versus usual means, and you can banish the information away because it's never going to be important to you again. Moving on. Okay, we already kind of talked about normal Omega EX, but for enmity and stamina specifically, it's important to know that these are all separate multipliers essentially. So that's why if you're running like 5 Edens in light, you tend to want to run the Magna Dark Opus with stamina on it instead of the Primal Dark Opus with stamina on it, because the normal and Omega boosts will multiply each other in that specific case. So that's why you see that. That's all there really is to talk about here. There's not very many EX Enmity or EX Stamina boosts. Like, I can only think of the Xeno Diablo Spear and the Xeno Caro Sword are the only ones that come to mind. Fixed attack modifier. There's not a lot of these. These are an absolute mod on the attack computation. I can only think of the example they're saying here, which is the Quinlong main whip. This is this thing. It's from Rise of the Beast. Does a bunch of things, but gives you a 15% hit to attack for an ally in a wind ally in first position. This is a severe penalty. Don't recommend you run this thing. Let's see. Character, enmity, and stamina. Okay, so the jammed mod for enmity. Remember, jammed is the buff, the enmity buff. Enmity EMPs, so stuff from character EMPs, because remember, you can get enmity and stamina on specific character EMPs. Ring-based enmity, because rings can give enmity or stamina. Stamina is the flip. It's the strength mod, so the stamina buff, stamina EMPs, ring stamina mods. Jammed and strength, this encompasses jammed and strength from all sources, so skills, weapons, summons, charge attacks. These are all combined for the jammed mod. And yeah, if specific characters will have stamina or enmity EMPs, it's not all characters, and then rings, completely random which one you get. Perpetuity bonus. Speaking of rings, these come from primarily from the perpetuity ring. So if you give a perpetuity ring to a character, you are giving them essentially 10% bonus to that perpetuity mod. In addition to that, the other thing they call out is Shield of Eternal Splendor. This wonder is from recruiting all of the Eternals, and it gives them, again, a 10% perpetuity bonus. It's additive, by the way, to the perpetuity ring attack boost. And then in addition to all that, some buffs. So like Heavenly Howl is 6's attack buff. This thing is also perpetuity mod. Wow, you didn't actually link the 6's page. Just take my word for it. Heavenly Howl is from 6. Not a lot of sources of the perpetuity mod. Okay, total character unique attack boost. This is all of the specific attack up stuff on a character. It's completely specific to each character. It's multiplicative. It's all you need to know. Like, it just depends on your character. Unique stackable bonus. unique stackable boost. These are, again, pretty specific. It's gonna depend on the character and the specific boost, but just know that this is its own multiplier. You can read this in detail if you want to know more about how the stacking works, but I don't want to get into that level of detail. True ship boost and true skill boost. These are, so if you're in a crew, your crew is your ship. The ships have a certain element attack up on them. If you're super hardcore crew, they might actually switch out the ship for United Fight, etc. There's a crew skill you can run that increases your elemental attack. And then after all of that, there is the attack down debuff on the end to lower your damage if you are suffering from attack down. Seraphic boost. This is primarily from the seraphic weapons, and it's an important one because it essentially acts as an increased damage cap, because as you can see, it has a separate calculation of damage cap here. These are the seraphic weapons. There's one for each element. The wind one is Ring of Wandergale. This one, when you fully uncap it, is amplify wind allies damage against earth foes by 23%. Quite a significant boost. Now, it's important to also know that certain characters have a similar skill. I didn't actually realize Wind Lancelot had this until I looked here, but Wind Lancelot has amplify damage against earth foes by 20%. Important thing to note. This does not stack with the seraphic weapon. So if you're running characters that give this kind of thing, effectively your seraphic weapon is a dead modifier for them because it doesn't stack. Important to know. Really important to know because Eternals, a lot of the Eternals have the same skill. So everyone loves this guy. Siete has amplified damage against earth foes by 20%. If you're running a Ring of Wandergale, this is a dead skill. It's either a dead skill on him or on the ring for him because they don't stack at all. So keep that in mind. Normal damage. This is essentially just the damage of a single attack. For multi-attacks, it's computed independently. It's base damage times sleeping boost, which you might not have known was a thing, times random modifier, divided by enemy defense plus supplemental damage. When you attack with the same character in the same circumstance, you don't always deal the same amount of damage. That's because there's a random modifier. All it means here, practically speaking, is there's going to be a little bit of variance in identical circumstances. Rarely, if ever, going to make a practical difference for you in a fight. Enemy defense. All enemies have an innate defense stat. Its nominal value is 10, by the way. Average fight's going to be 10, harder fight's going to be higher, easier fight's going to be lower. Enemy defense is innate defense times defense mods, total defense mods. Defense mods are defense up mods, defense down mods, and then unique defense down mods. So all it means here is if you want to have an easier time on a boss, you want to hit them with defense down mods, and then keep in mind their own defense up mods. You want to dispel those, etc. This does not factor in damage cuts or repel or anything like that. Keep in mind also that the total value of defense up and down mods is capped at 50%. You cannot have more than 50% defense down or up. So when you're factoring in what skills to bring, what characters bring, keep that in mind. Anything more than that doesn't really help you. Unique defense down mods are very specific. I can't think of a ton of them. The ones they call out specifically, let's see, Quatra's forfeit skill, okay, and then Pure Flow, which is from the Gabriel summon. Sleeping bonus. Again, this is, like, I didn't fully understand this was a thing until I dove in here, because I knew Comatose did a thing. I didn't realize there was a general sleeping bonus. But if the character has Scared Stiff on them, or Sleep, or Comatose, they give different levels of bonus, because of course they couldn't all be the same. Scared Stiff is 10%. Sleep is 25%. Comatose is a hefty 50% bonus. That's why Neo dropping Comatose on somebody is a pretty significant bonus for the turns where that thing is active. Supplemental damage. So Halmal's Everbane skill, Hollow Sky weapons all typically have a supplemental damage effect. Belial, that dude, those have supplemental damage effects. These are directly added, are not affected by defense or anything like that. That's why supplemental damage is good. It doesn't care about anything else. It always happens for the same amount. That's the benefit of supplemental damage. Okay, critical damage. Critical attacks have a chance to replace normal attacks when using element superior teams. So all you need to know there is you can only really crit if you are superior element unless there's a field effect that specifically enables off-element crits. That's pretty rare. These are usually expressed, here, I'll show you how they're expressed. Water Cagliostro, Best Girl, 70-30. So when you see this, what this means is you have a 70% chance of critting for 30% more damage. Bonus damage. This is an echo. So the way it works is normal damage without supplemental times bonus multiplier plus bonus supplemental damage. Let's break that down. So if you have a 50% bonus multiplier, 50% echo, what that's going to look like is if you attack for 400,000 damage, you're going to see another 200,000 tick of damage. That's your bonus multiplier. That's your echo. I didn't actually know this until I dug through here, but echoes aren't affected by supplemental. In fact, they're affected by bonus supplemental, which is different than normal supplemental. They call it hollow sky weapons as something that might give bonus supplemental. So there's that. Counterattack damage. It is just normal damage times counter multiplier. Gonna depend on what counter you're using. Charge attack damage. It is normal damage times charge attack multiplier times charge attack buff boost times charge attack weapon boost plus fixed charge attack damage. I'll sum it up for you. Like, you want a bunch of stuff that says increased charge attack damage, but if you use a bunch of that stuff, you also want to use stuff that says increased charge attack damage cap, or else you're slamming into the cap real fast. All you really need to know about charge attack damage. Chain burst damage. We are almost there. Okay, the chain burst damage is total party charge attack damage times your burst constant. Your burst constant is how many people charge attack. So for two people charge attacking, it's 25%. For 4, it is 50%. Times element superiority, so that's again the elemental boost. Is it 50% if you're superior element? It's minus 25% if you are inferior element, 0 if you're neutral. And then burst boost. Burst boost is the sum of all the skills and weapons and summons and everything that say boost to chain burst damage. All that together, that's your chain burst damage. We're done. We made it to the end of the damage formula. Oh boy. Okay, joining us for the conclusion is Stig. Now, as I said, a lot of that was academic. So you don't need to know all the details we talked about. The main thing, practically speaking, is you want a variety of multipliers. So you want, ideally, some Magna multipliers in your grid. You want some EX modifiers. You want some normal modifiers. It's going to depend on what the specific values are. You're just going to have to feel that out or get some, like, use a calculator to figure out, like, the exact amounts. In addition to that, you also want a variety of mods like stamina or enmity, that kind of thing, in addition to attack. And all that together is going to result in more damage for you. So hopefully this has been a useful talk and hopefully clears up some of the confusion. Anyways, Stig wants to go outside, so I will catch you guys in the next one. Come on, baby.